Hello, everyone, and welcome to our ChoiceEHR training. Today, we're going to be talking about the assigning for review process. So, picking back up from our original scanning and importing or e-documents training, we're going to be taking this a step further and talking about how to actually send this document to additional users that need to review it. So, let's go ahead and get started. Picking back up into the eDocuments portal, I've already gone ahead and opened up my patient. You'll see their name is listed here in the upper right-hand corner. And I've already found and selected the document that I am going to be working with today. So you'll see here it's listed test document and it's a TIFF file. Now, a couple of things that I want to point out while we're looking at this window pane is you can actually make this pane a little bit bigger if you're wanting to see some additional details. So for example, you can see when we actually created it and of course the received date. Now the received date that we entered in or the date of service is what's going to plot out on the patient's timeline. So it's a little bit easier for your providers to navigate all of the scanned in documents or imported documents inside of the patient's chart. Now, as we've received this document, we find out maybe we need to send this to someone to take a look at. Maybe it's lab results that our provider needs to review, or maybe it's an insurance document that our billing needs to review. Either way, in order to navigate to this area of the system, we're simply just going to right-click over the document. And the first option that we're going to come across is called the Needs Review By. You'll see that this actually has an icon with a piece of paper and a magnifying glass. You're going to see this magnifying glass show up here very shortly. So let's select this Needs Reviewed By. It's going to open up a brand new window with our review history. Now, in this case, this document is brand new. It's never been sent to anyone, so we're not going to have a review history. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to send it to either an individual user or a group of users. In this case, I want to send it to one of my doctors. So I'm going to go ahead and search for my doctor's name. We'll go ahead and select that user. We can even enter in maybe some instructional text or a message. Maybe this is a new patient. Maybe we say, please review prior to first appointment on 2/28. So we can put that information in here. You also have the ability to change the priority. So if it's a very high importance item, you can actually toggle through this series of buttons to change the priority. That will help distinguish more important items over maybe less important items. When we're ready to send this to that individual, we'll simply select OK. And that will now send that document over to that person in the My Task List. They will receive a notification in their eDocuments My Task List that they need to review that item. You'll also notice that next to the item, we've created that little icon representing that this document is currently outstanding and it needs to be reviewed. Now, looking a little bit further into this, if you were to right-click over this document again, you can actually review all comments. So if this document's been passed back and forth between a few people, you'll have the ability to go in and view all of the different comments that have been added to the document. So think of it as a paper trail of sticky notes. So as I've added a sticky note to the top of this to let my provider know that they need to take a look at it, maybe that provider sends it to their nurse and so on and so forth. All of that information gets tied back to this single document. Now, looking at the actual patient's chart, you can actually open up the patient in the EMR, which is going to load that patient's chart. Again, you'll see their information displayed in the upper right-hand corner. You've also got a basically quick destination, a little icon that represents that there is an e-document that's been scanned in today. So you can see that testdocument.tiff. If you were to click on that document, it's going to take you into the eDocuments portal inside of that patient's chart. So again, like I've mentioned in a previous training, you'll have the ability to view a bunch of different documents from inside the patient's chart. You're just not going to get that organization of the cabinets, drawers, and folders like you would if you were in the eDocuments portal. So again, looking at this document, you can still see that that has been assigned and it still needs to be reviewed. You could mark that as reviewed if you were the person that was assigned to view it, or again, if you need to review the comments on that, you'll have access to that in the EMR as well. Now we're going to toggle back over into the eDocuments portal. If you follow my mouse into the lower left-hand corner. And there's a couple of additional details that we're going to look at on this right-click menu that kind of correspond to that assigning for review. You can always send this as a communication as well. So if you are wanting maybe a quicker way to do this, or if you're wanting to create a communication of some sort, you do have that option. However, that does get lumped back into all of the other communications that a provider or another user may be receiving. So it may not always be the recommended route for an eDocument. An eDocument, again, if it's assigned as review, it creates its own task inside of a very specific area in the My Task list. So that's normally the more recommended route to take. However, you do have that option if you are wanting it. You've also got a couple of additional details like we've mentioned before. If you were needing to create some type of reminder or open the patient up in the EMR, you've got a lot of those options in this right-click menu as well. All right, a very short but sweet training. That's going to go ahead and complete our assigning for review discussion. I want to thank everybody for being able to join today, and I look forward to having you on a future ChoiceEHR training.